What's up, guys? Girls?
Good afternoon.
Ladies? Gentlemen?
All right, Coach, we got Lafayette coming in after a bit of a layoff, and we'll let you open up.
Yeah, we're back into that weekly routine. It's good to have, obviously opponent on the horizon here on Wednesday night. And, Lafayette is off to a, tough start. They've played 3 out of 4 games on the road, at Villanova, at LaSalle, at Cornell, all very, very difficult games. And, they always, played a well-coached Penn team at home for a win. They're dealing with some injuries as well. So they're bouncing back and forth a little bit as we watch them. But, they've really presented some problems that we've seen throughout the course of here early in the year that are going to, give us a lot of concern. They shot the ball really well from 3 in every game, almost making 10 a game. They're shooting almost half their shots from 3. Their freshman guard, Williams, is off to a fantastic start. He's shooting 52% from 3 on the season as a freshman. And they have some returning guys back who know what they're doing. Defensively, they're very organized. They'll give you a couple different looks pressure-wise. Their coverages in the half court can be mixed up. So, we're preparing obviously for a very hard-fought game. And, for us, we had a good weekend, practice. It's very often that at this time of year that you're spending a lot of time, not preparing for games. You can spend some time on yourself on the weekend, which we did. But, as we approach these next couple days, as we lead in, Lafayette has our concern, our full attention, so to speak. And we're going to have to play a lot better defensively in this one. And the three-point line is concerning. And the different lineups that they're playing in the course of the game is also concerning, for us to be able to cover. So we have a work cut out for us, but we're excited to get back at it here and get back on the floor, Wednesday night and play again.
Archie, could you start with an update on Sebastian Thomas?
He has been full go back in practice the last few days. I encouraged him to take it slow, which he did for about 10 minutes, and then he never came out of practice. So, obviously he feels pretty, back. I wouldn't say that he's normal in terms of all of his quickness. I think there's some nerves there. He was scared, and I think we were all scared, but at the same time, as a player, I don't think you really, can really get over the fact of how you feel until you get out there and practice a little bit and start playing. So as we tried to gradually incorporate him, he incorporated himself full go. He had a good weekend, and as we approach here today, I don't anticipate him not being a part of our deal.
How do you sort of use the extended time off maybe to your advantage here coming into Wednesday?
As a coach, you look at extended time off and advantage, and you say you're going to do this and do that, and we're really going to, hone in on ourselves and sort of work on some things that, you may not have a chance to do when you're preparing for 3 games in 7 days or whatever it may be. So you get a, sort of a deep breath. And that sounds good, but, at this time of year, guys want to play, so you have to be smart in your practice in terms of what you're trying to work on and keeping them motivated to show up every day and be ready and not have, monotonous, same old. But we have to get better, and I think defensively here early, we've really struggled here in our last 3 halves or whatever it may be with small ball lineups and 3-point shooting teams. And that's going to be a common theme as the year continues to go. For our staff, it's challenging right now in terms of how to prepare our guys better and put them in situations where we're working on being good, at what we do. We're not going to be good at, preparing for every single team. We're not going to be good at stopping every team. We have to be good at what we do. And I think until we as a staff can teach better and get our guys to completely be, completely locked in on just doing what we do well, we can show some improvement. But I think that's what we're trying to show here, over these last 3 days, 4 days as we head into Wednesday. Can we be better at what we're trying to accomplish as a team? Less thinking, more effort, more, do your job, so to speak, on that end of the floor. And that's been really the theme of it. But I will say this: we want to play, and guys are hopefully are excited to play. and not just practice every day. We've had a lot of work, but we have to be a little bit better at what we do. And I think just getting our guys a little bit more confident on being disciplined on some of those things.
Do you feel like when you talk about guys just less thinking, more just putting in the effort, is Jamarcus one of those guys that you feel like is, maybe making a leap here, particularly the way that he performs?
Yeah, here's the thing with Jamarcus, he's been fantastic for us all fall. He played 30-some minutes against UConn in our scrimmage game there, and he was fine. We had a second exhibition, he was great. And I think nerves probably set in that, when the season started, like a lot of guys, just I want to get out there and get off to a good start. I think sometimes that backfires a little bit on you, but slowly but surely, sort of will level out for him. He's a very integral part of what we're doing in terms of our offense, in terms of how he has to play with Sebastian and without. He's also got to be smart defensively, to be able to be disciplined, play hard without fouling. And I think, last game out was a different type of game, but without Sebastian out there, you had to handle the ball a lot more. You had to do some things there. But his shooting ability, his playmaking ability, and his smarts are huge deals for us. And the more he's out there, the better. He's just you better know where he is. And at the end of the day, I think that he's good enough. He can burn you with the pass as well. And but I do think that he's getting more comfortable. And as games continue to go, I think you'll begin to see, his consistency.
With David, he was just in here. Just asked him about, where he felt like he could improve, this year, going from year 1 to year 2. He feels like he could be more of a leader. Are you seeing that out of him?
Yeah, I'm proud of David. I think he's improved as much as any player from practice 1 to practice 31. And I'm disappointed because I do feel that some of our game action, he hasn't really gotten into a great rhythm. Whether it was the Holy Cross game, us deciding to abandon bigs and play a little smaller, he lost some reps there. He only played 13 minutes in our opener. I believe he got a technical foul, sat him down, but he was doing well in those 13 minutes. And then in this last game, he played more extended minutes and was able to rebound effectively. He was able to impact the game defensively with his ability level to, challenge the ball at times. But from a practice standpoint, I don't think that there's a guy that's really climbed our ladder higher than him. He's playing with great confidence offensively. A big part of our offseason was developing him perimeter-wise. He's going to have to become a bona fide three-point shooter for him to reach his full potential offensively. He's not a great back-to-the-basket player. He's great with angles. He's great with offensive rebounding and leverage, but he's not a great back-to-the-basket player, but he is face-up comfortable. And I think in these last couple weeks, he's really, really taken to heart, shooting the ball, extra work in shooting the ball. And he's also been a lot more coachable in these last 2 weeks in terms of stubbornness. He's a stubborn guy. And you forget that he's only about 18 years old. So I think sometimes you look at him and you're like, oh, he's experienced, he's old. No, he's not really not. He's young. But he's gotten over the pack of some stubborn things that we're trying to get him away from. And he's starting to blossom a little bit for us that give us more agility defensively at the 5. Big deal, right? Maybe a little bit more face-up opportunity for him at the 5. And I think that the rubber's sort of gonna meet the road as we continue to go down the line, that his development is huge for our team. And I don't want to single out anybody else. That every guy has a responsibility to grow during the season. He, Cam, some of these guys, in that queue, you start to look at those guys, and the whole key to our team is the depth. It's the quality of player impacting our team at a 40-minute game. There's really not a ton of drop-off. That was our hope. And David is a big part of that, and I think that if he keeps going, I've found out throughout my time, and I'm sure every coach will sit here and say, you just don't see a guy work as hard as David's worked and is working and not start to reap some of those rewards. And maybe it's this week. I don't know. But I know this, he's due for an extended version of what we're seeing in practice, and as he continues to evolve, he's going to throw a curveball when Jamonte's not in the game, and maybe he and Javante could play together in certain cases when teams are bigger. I don't know, but he's working too hard. I'm proud of where he's at right now. He's really had a great 2 weeks leading into sort of where we're at. And as we head into Wednesday and into the rest of the season, you know, he's a big part of our team's growth is to have him be good at what he's doing right now.
Just looking at Lafayette, they've really struggled defensive rebounding.
Yeah.
That's one area where they've had a hard time through a few games.
Yeah.
Really, the only red area you guys have on Ken Palm right now is offensive rebounding.
It's
Could there
disappointing.
be a chance to get it going a little?
It's disappointing. It's been a point of emphasis. You know, through our first 2 games, we were non-existent on the offensive glass, except for Javante, David, and Drisa. Really, those 3 guys are consistent effort guys on the boards. They're around the basket more. Dave, because of his strengths, is sometimes floating a little bit more, which, you know, you pay that price a little bit, but he also can really shoot, so we get it. But we have to get second effort out of him. And then that's part of Tyone's growth. As he's learning right now as a young player, his physicality that he brings to the team has to be more. And I also think that Q, as we continue to go down the line, can help in that regard as well, because he's got a great motor. But that is one thing that, like, we can't be below average. And I'm not saying we have to be elite, but we have got to be in the middle ground there in terms of, like, our 3s, our 4s, and our 5s. We have got to get second effort. It's been a point of emphasis. I think last game we got more, but it was a jumbled effort. But you're right, you know, as we head into Wednesday night, you know, 2 themes of this game is defending the 3 and offensive rebounding, because, you know, every team that's played against them has got about 40% back, and every team that they've played against, they've made about 9 or 10 threes. So those are 2 things that stand out. But for our team to continue to be at its best, the offensive rebounding number, although maybe it's not has to skyrocket, but it's got to be better. And that's a big point of, you know, our growth here early as we're learning the combinations of players. But like when when David, Ty are in the game together, you know, at those 2 forward spots, we can't have a donut there. So those 2 guys got to find a way to give us more effort there. And I just think by minutes played, Javante, David, Drisa, and even Q, when he's in there, they've shown per minute played that they're getting some. It's really coming down to getting Ty's numbers up and David sort of getting a little bit more involved in the offensive glass.
Coach, after 3 games, your assessment of how Jaden has embraced the 6-man role?
You know, I really believe that it's a big part of our team. Somebody has to sacrifice and be unselfish. And here early in the year, maybe some by his doing of not practicing the way that, you know, he needs to every day on a daily basis to have the credibility, but also knowing that he is a very, very good player in what we do, that maybe we can create that window for him to surge on to our team and be a difference maker, but also at the same time help us cultivate unselfishness, cultivate, you know, development of other guys on our team. And Jaden has looked me in the eye and at the end of the day says, okay, if this is what you want me to do, then I'm going to do it. And I think that he's handled it very well. He's been a very impactful player for us in all 3 games. I don't believe that he looks a whole lot different in terms of the role that he has. It's also given us an opportunity to be a little bit bigger. And maybe to Bill's point, if we're not going to get the offensive rebounding out of some guys, maybe Jaden can slide back in a little bit there. But he's been unselfish with it, and he hasn't complained. And at the end of the day, I think he's embracing this as being, there's no telling that I can't be the leading scorer or the best player on the team or on a given night an all-conference player. Does it matter if I start? I don't know. And I think it starts to show maybe a little bit of, everyone's going to have to, you know, chew back a little bit, so to speak, for us to maybe get the whole comprehensive group to be at its best. And right now, that not saying that stays the same as we keep going, but it's also something we're looking at right now that could be a strength for him and us.
His efficiency has been tremendous.
And I think we've tried to, you know, sort of bring that to the table for him, that like starting out a game in certain lineups, being an alpha guy, great. Well, you also have maybe 2 or 3 other guys with, you know, Javante, us trying to establish him early in a game, or, you know, Dave is also, you know, a scoring-minded guy that we have to find different ways to get the ball. And I think at times Jaden may be at best with maybe two other front court players who create more action and maybe aren't as production heavy with the ball. Maybe, because I mean, if you look at Dov and you look at Drisa, they create more action for us. They score in different ways. They don't just need the ball thrown to them, where they create more lanes for him. So being more efficient with different groupings of players maybe gives him more freedom to go out there and be more aggressive, where it doesn't stagnate sort of the other group where they're all kind of standing around. I think, now as the game flows and the game goes, I do think you seem to see the guys that are sort of rolling stay in. But I do think that Jaden may be picking his spot, so to speak, to come in and bring a surge when we sub. That's a little different, curveball for the other team a little bit, maybe, that they're going to worry about this guy when he checks in rather than, hey, we got these 5 guys out here and they're all trying to score as soon as we start the game. That's not really, at the end of the day, maybe what's the best answer for us.
Any final questions for Coach? All right.
All good? Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys on this week here Wednesday and talk to you afterwards.